You got one of the legends, one of the legends in sneaker culture in South Africa. In New York, we got Mayhem DJ Clark King. In Chicago, got Jumpman Boston and Unbreakable Kicks. But right here in the beautiful city of Cape Town, and not only Cape Town, this is the OG of sneaker culture in South Africa. We got the OG himself, Rolo Rozay. Rolo Rozay, what's the deal, my brother?
Yo, man, I'm good, man. Yo, that intro. Funny thing is, Clark King actually called me a legend. Twice.
You are. I was chilling. I came here 2019 on just some more vacation shit. And I didn't know what was going on in South Africa. South Africa is beautiful. So I was like, we go on vacation. Either here or Kenya.
Okay.
So my homegirl said, come to South Africa. You know me for a long time. I ain't seen you in years. Come to South Africa. And I said, all right. So she had to go work. And I'm chilling. I'm more dressing how I dress in New York. I had Concord 11s. I'm getting stopped left and right. Where'd you get those from? Woo. I went to this store called Shisha. Just chilling. And you stopped me. You don't get those here when people have them? And I said, yeah. One of the salespersons said to me, listen, you want the sneakers, right? I said, yeah. You need to talk to a man called Rolo Rozay. So I go to another sneaker store. You want the sneakers? Yep. And Rosebank. Yo, there's this dude called Rolo Rozay. And I'm like, who is this dude? So for a whole year, I was obsessed with Rolo Rozay.
Now, we spoke off air and stuff, and you did your due diligence, because when I explained to Icon about the Gatsby, and you knew exactly what it was, so I appreciate that, man. And it's wild for us, to be recognized on these levels, because you can't self-proclaim yourself a certain title, it's what society foists upon you, and that shit's just humbling, and it just always takes me back,
You've been in the game since the 90s.
Yeah.
Who first influenced you on getting down with this culture? Because this culture is kind of an expensive culture.
Yeah, man. Look, I didn't grow up very rich and stuff, so besides an uncle that's 11 years older than me, and the 90s sitcoms, bro, because that's where that's where I got my fashion sense from. Watching the sitcoms, the Martins, the In the House, Fresh Prince, Wayne Brothers, what else was there, and the XXL magazine. So those are the things that influenced me into really not only the sneakers, but also the way I dressed growing up in the 90s, That's why I can't dress like it now, because a lot of people are dressing like the 90s now. They weren't even born. And so I was around to actually see that,
And I've been cutting since the 80s. I knew sneaker culture was big when I saw Fresh Prince, Will Smith, rocking Jordan 5.
With no laces.
I knew this is another level now.
Yeah.
That even caught me off guard, how popular those 5s became. And I just wanted to ask you, you had to have some challenges because, the income gap in South Africa, when you first started collecting, was worse than it is today. South Africa is growing post-apartheid.
Yeah.
But, how did you find those challenges getting rare sneakers, people questioning your mental health?
Yeah.
What are you doing with all these sneakers? And how did you get past that?
So look, it wasn't always that I had a lot of shoes, but it's specific shoes that meant a lot. So you must understand, my mom and dad growing up, the first pair of Nikes that I got was grade 7, standard 5. So if I passed from grade 6 to grade 7, then I would have gotten these Nikes, and it was a Nike Air Screech. I can still remember the shoe up until today. that was where it set it off, like you knowing the name of the sneaker, you know? And fast forward to now, I think in the middle of all of those things, like when you start getting like odd jobs and stuff like that, there's a system called lay-by, like you guys call it layaway. That was like the key thing to get these shoes, because a 800 Rand sneaker in the 90s, you not, like, even with my uncle, like I said, my uncle, he introduced me to the layaway system. Because like my grandparents weren't like super flashy, like grandfather drove a truck, my grandmother was a maid, like a what do they call it? There's a new term for it, like a servant, you know, domestic worker. You understand? So when you look at the income there, it wasn't like that, you know, like even like my dad was a manager, my mom worked the retail her whole life. So there wasn't a lot of money. So I had to apply myself, you know, into like acquiring these things. But even back then, you didn't think about it like it's gonna be today, like it is. You understand? Like having all of these pairs of shoes that mean so much to you. It's not like we didn't foresee it. I was just like heavy into the shoes. I almost cursed now. I wasn't sure if you could curse. But like I was just fucking with these joints and not thinking that, listen, in 10 years, 20 years, I'm going to be speaking to somebody from America
who flew over just to see you
about these things. It's not, we don't have this blueprint, because I have my own OG, which is Brad, which is like my mentor and shit. Like I go to like to chop it up, like, yo, I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about that. But we don't look at it like, yeah, this is what you must do to be able to do these things. We didn't know. We're still doing this shit, man. You know?
I'm comparing like the different cities, two cities, Johannesburg and Cape Town. Cape Town has that special flavor, man, that I can compare to New York.
Yeah.
I can compare to LA. Not so much Chicago. Chicago is different. Chicago is Jordan centric.
Yeah.
But you guys have that special kind of flow that I've never seen before, man.
You know, the difference with the cities, like we don't compare our cities to each other. The first time I went to Joburg was in 2011. You understand? Me, Hayden, Paul Ward, we were part of this blog called Bitches Must Know. You know, and that created a phenom. Like we would make merch and it was set up like in 15 days. We would make like fucking random shit like an apron, and people would like pester us like, yo, drop this shit. You know, I want to be Brian with the fucking Bitches Must Know apron. But the cities is different because Joburg is more fashion sense, because you must understand these guys are also not privileged. So if you go to Joburg now, you have guys like Gali Thrift Shop, you know, my guy Gali, you know, and Lebo, who has a Josie Vintage plug. These guys are thrifting these pieces that will make you think these guys are rappers, because this guy's got Comme des Garçons, YSL, he's drip. But he doesn't come from it. Like, I still need to tap into Gali's story, because Gali, someone just told me, yo, Gali was a guy that was wandering the streets, you know, to be known by A-listers and styling them with these pieces. So Joburg has that fashion expression, you understand? But with us in Cape Town, we about the shoes, you understand? You know, like in the documentaries, we size them from the feet down. Like here by us, it's the feet we don't have to care about the other threads, you know. Joburg is the threads before the shoes, you know.
My personal philosophy is, well, I'm a minimalist.
Yeah.
My personal philosophy is, if your shoes are right, whatever else you got on will be just a compliment to your shoes.
Exactly.
If you wear too much of the flashy stuff, you will hide the shoes.
It hides away, yeah.
Let me ask you something. Coming up in post-Mandela's apartheid, did you see like a big difference within like the different communities? Like people say, and I don't know, like the colored community is a bit more fly than the black community as far as sneakers and fashion. Because I'm getting different opinions.
No, it's a different opinion, because you have someone who doesn't have a car, but you have 3,000 Rand shoes on. So our way of expressing ourselves through fashion has been something from before the internet. So you'll have the black community, they'll be wearing like these Carvela shoes, which is like a loafer, which is fucking expensive, and they don't have a car. But if you buy 3 of those, you can buy you a city Golf. And it would be the same with the colors and these expensive Nike bubbles that you would think like, yo, you don't even have a car, my guy, but you got like a car on your feet, you know? So you must understand, we are all descendants from each other. So I spoke to a guy yesterday where he was saying like, if you look at it, we so-called mixed race, so we should have everybody's flavor. So if it's a dress sense, it should come from somewhere where it's like a melting pot, like gumbo. Like you would go gumbo, like it would be like that. So it can't like say, we all just express ourselves in fashion, you know? So I would narrow down to say, us living in like underprivileged environments, but we have fly shoes on, that's been a tried and tested thing, you know?
Back home, you know, we have our Foot Lockers, Jimmy Jazz.
City Gear. I saw you bought me a bag with City Gear.
Yeah.
Bro, I know most of those sneaker stores there, bro.
But we still have an underground, call this guy up kind of scene. Do you have that kind of scene in Cape Town?
Look, like we don't have those mom and pop shops because everything had to go to Jack Linkus is still a mom and pop shop, but it's more business driven now. So when you look at it, back then you would have stores like family owned stores, like Amin, and all of them got amalgamated to Street Fever. So all these other small stores owned by Muslim families all became Street Fevers. Street Fever's now broken down into like Laced Up, and I'm not sure if Sidestep is also part of it, but we like I know we found a store here in Oriental Plaza, which was a mom and pop shop, but they shut the doors. But then we found the stores and you could go underground like and find these rare shoes from the 90s just sitting there, crumbling, you know. So those things just predates the internet. So that's like maybe like 2005. So it wasn't really like popping like it was, but like I know my one dude just found a store somewhere he doesn't want to tell us that has like a whole bunch of like, I wouldn't say, look, when you look at it, it's like retro stuff, but it's more of like the jogging shorts for a white dude. But that's just fly, because if anybody wears it, it's fly. It will come off like dope, but he doesn't want to show because he's busy negotiating to be able to take the whole bunch. Those independent stores like the Jew Man you guys have,
in the Bronx.
I think there's still one store that still has its roots embedded is Cobbler's Den. So that store's like on one of the strips in Paro called Station Road. So
the Bronx?
Nah, it's here by us.
Okay.
Cobbler's Den. So these are like the stores that would be in my proximity. So I would go there on the weekend and go and look in the window.
My store growing up, and it just closed about 6 months ago, was Sneaker Corner. You ask anybody in Brooklyn about Sneaker Corner. Sneaker Corner was around in the 1970s. Before Dr. J's, and I'm sure you know
Dr. J's, yeah.
Right? Sneaker Corner was like the place where I grew up in Flatbush in Brooklyn.
Okay.
It just closed a couple months ago. And it breaks my heart because it's one of the places where it was beyond mom and pop. This place was so popping. Nike had to beg to get an account in them times. Because if you look at hip hop, Nike really wasn't popping in hip hop and hip hop culture and street culture until late 80s, 90s.
Air Force Ones was the only thing. But before that, you know, if you look at those documentaries that's out is Pumas and Adidas. So there wasn't any, like even if you look at it, there was a jacket, the one photograph with the guys with the burgundy jacket with the big logo that I'm sure Supreme stole, and now they're going to make that same thing. So that's the only Nike photograph in the book that you gave me. That's the only Nike piece that you can remember through both of those documentaries, Fresh Dress and Just for Kids. So you don't really see Nike as relevant as it is now from back then, you know?
This town is so, to me, it's so dope. It's dope personally, and it's dope sneaker culture wise. What in the world? Now you're talking to Americans now. Please explain to us bubble culture because we don't know.
Yo, the bubble culture is like a chunky silhouette, whether it's a full 360 A unit or a small one, still a bubble, you know. So whether it's a penny one up until not really the Air Max 90s, that doesn't really cut the bubbles. Like maybe 97, 98s over 97s, and then maybe 93s, 96s, and then like the tuned maxes that's coming out now, like the tailwinds. But these are the ones that are not popular. So it was like the obscure joints. So the more obscure the shoe is, those are the ones that basically set the foundation. But if you look at it, any chunky silhouette, AMO up tempos, any up tempo basically for matter of fact. Like this, foam posted Tim Duncans. But those things are like, everybody has different stories. Like Justin will tell you, because where he grew up around basketball courts. So obviously, UCT, Walmer State, there would be people playing basketball in these shoes. But with me, it was different. 90 sitcoms, some gangsters on the corner wearing these joints. But then again, where I grew up, it wasn't the same. So it was more in the south of Cape Town. So like Wynberg and these areas, you know. So it wasn't necessarily a fully fledged Cape Town thing. So it's different everywhere. So like I said, we're going to Wynberg probably on Saturday to go and check out what's happening here. Then you'll see the difference from the south of Cape Town. That is the thing. These are the guys that saw their uncles and people like that in the 90s wearing these shoes. And fast forward to you getting money and getting a job now, you start to import these joints, you know. So the shoes that in the States go to Marshalls and outlets, we go and find them. The Ken Griffey's, all of those things, we go and find them, but we don't. We like I said, everybody has a different story to it. Like I wasn't influenced by basketball because we didn't get NBA in the 90s. But that is the thing. It wasn't Jordan's as well, you know. So
it's funny because I'm in Johannesburg and people are sweating for my Jordans. Here, no one's even looking at me.
Yeah.
And it's great sneaker wise because I happen to find you're so right about Johannesburg as compared to Cape Town. Cape Town, people are more intellectual when it comes to just the sneakers and what you call khakis. So intellectual, they can tell you when they came out,
yeah,
the stitching, who wore it,
yeah,
what designer designed it.
Yeah.
I used to do that until the hype beast came and I won't say destroyed the culture.
No.
It's just a different take.
No, now you have to adapt to survive because like whatever like hypebeast is gonna be here for the next 20 years.
They're not going anywhere.
Not going anywhere, bro. Because now you have kids that's like 14 years old that's wearing $4,000 shoes. So it's either you adapt or you die.
You die.
You know?
Ask you a question, man. Like, I think I'm beginning to get the feel of the Cape, and I think I could be wrong. I think Nike dominates Cape Town.
Yeah, most definitely.
But I also feel that what happened to Puma and Adidas? Because Puma and Adidas are like the two brothers of hip hop.
Now, people don't know the story about those two. I have a relationship with Puma because I used to work there. So when I would say 2014, 2015, that's when Puma basically came back. So they had like all these collabs, but they were doing collabs before, like with Alexander McQueen and
Meek Mill.
No, before Meek Mill.
Before Meek Mill.
Yeah, this is like these were like you would find them at a store called Fabiani. Yeah, but so it would be a collab sneaker with Puma with someone, whether it would be Mihara, which is a Japanese architect perhaps, or stuff like that. So Puma always had these collabs. Then a guy called Yasin basically came and he said, "Yo, these are gonna get their own platform called Select." So all the Select versions of Puma, you'll find them everywhere. So there was a stage of it. And then Adidas with the Kanye West joints, everybody started wearing that, like the Ultra Boosts and those type of joints. But Cape Town doesn't give a fuck about stuff like that, but there is people that fuck with it, like the hypebeast. That's why you'll see the queues. But you must understand, the hypebeast queues, and then you still get these people queuing for bubbles, which was also unheard of. I think it was 2018, a sneaker drop, the one that, the speed of choice, the Dan Marino, but it was like a gray colorway. I'm not gonna lie, I think it was 217 pairs sold out in the same day.
Listen.
With zero marketing. So now you must understand, these guys, they bought the shoes on fucking Instagram and checking for that shit. So now, it's only a bunch of Nike tracksuits and Nike foot, not the foot caps in the line. So you're already intimidated when you pull up to the line and see all of these guys. So that's the stuff that still makes me happy where we have bubble sellout on the same day. You know?
You spoke about Dan Marino. Honest to goodness, I don't know too many people statewide who bought Dan Marinos. But when I became obsessed with South African sneaker culture, people mentioned Dan Marinos. And Ken Griffey was popular,
yes,
like stateside. But Dan Marinos had great distribution, but it didn't get that street flair. I saw it, I was brought up here, I liked it when it first came out. But when I saw you in that documentary, and this is how I knew y'all dudes in Cape Town,
right,
y'all on another level, because when you mentioned Dan Marinos, that goes back to me in the 90s before Fresh Prince.
Yeah. So now you have the Dan Marinos and the Deion Sanders, those joints. So now that's like the top sellers here by me. But they've never seen these guys play. They don't even know Deion Sanders rap. So now I was watching Full Size Run and you could see where he was telling what the inspiration behind the shoe was. So it was a Lamborghini Countach. So Deion Sanders again, basketball, baseball and NFL. So I have I have a sneaker from the NFL and the baseball. You know, so it's just different, you know.